This is our second video, and I've got my head chopped off, so let me bump it up just a little bit. And let me go over your targets. This is for reading. The lesson plan accidentally says lesson 130, and it should be lesson 133. That was a typo that I made that I didn't catch. But your targets today are I can read a timeline, and I can identify how the main character shows that he loves God. Your phonics skill today is over a pattern that I have already discussed with you in the classroom, and it's I consonant, consonant, and O consonant, consonant. We know typically when a vowel is followed by a consonant that the vowel is short, but in this instance, we're going to see some patterns where the rule doesn't always work, and that's the issue with the English language, is that the rules don't always work. So let's look at the words in the first column. These words are mild, blind, and mind. You can sound those out. You can break them into pieces and say ild, and you hear I. Blind, and you hear I. And mind, and you hear I. Each of these has an I followed by two consonants. The pattern in the first word is I-L-D, and in the second two words is I-N-D. So many times when you see the I-L-D or the I-N-D pattern, the I will be long. Even though it's closed, it will be long. Now let's look at the second column of words. Told, roll, scroll, colt, bolt, most, host. I hear old, ol, sk, ol, old, old, oast, oast. And each of these say O, even though the vowel is closed. It's followed by two consonants. These are rule breakers. In this first word, the pattern is O-L-D. In these two, the pattern is O-L-L, O-L-T, and O-S-T. And most of the time, if you see these patterns in a word, the vowel will be long and it will not be short. Now at the bottom of this page, if you printed it off or if you pulled it up on your computer, there are some sentences, and they have O's followed by consonant consonants and I's followed by consonant consonants. But not every time is the I long, not every time is the I short. But your job today is to listen for the vowel that has the long O or the long I. So in the first sentence, it says, the shepherd led his flock back to the fold. In which word do you hear O? Flock or old. And you should say fold. And it has the O-L-D pattern that we see here. Number 2, think of kind deeds you can do for others. Which word has the long I? Ink, I-nd. And I think I hear the I in kind. And if I look, that pattern is here. Number 3, the colt took a drink of water from the pond. Colt, pond. I think I hear the O in colt. And if I look, there's that pattern. This one is a trick. Most of the books at the yard sale cost $1. Well, look, OST is in both of these words, and OST is on our list. And that's what I just said about the English language and our sounds. They don't always follow rules. So let's listen to oast and cost. Which word says O? Most or cost? And you should say most. The fifth sentence is, the child held the little chick carefully. Child here the I in child. And if you know the rule about CK, you know that CK only ever comes after short vowels. And number 6, we felt a chill in the air when we went on a stroll through the park. Ch, I, O, st, r, o. Which one has a long sound? You should say stroll. O-L-L is one of the patterns. They tried to trick you with that L-L on the end of this word, but L-L actually comes after short vowels. L-L, S-S, F-F always come after short vowels. Okay, so your phonics rule today is vowel, consonant, consonant using I and O. Many times will give you long vowel sounds. So that's your phonics skill. Your vocabulary words today are what I'll bet you have a lot of right now at home to do. Chores. And your second word, this is I, consonant E. The I says I. Higher. To help my mom, I did all of the chores on my list. Are chores jobs, homework, or mail? And I think you know that chores are jobs. Mr. Jones will hire me to pull weeds in his garden. Hire means show how to do something, ask for something, or choose for a job. If you get hired, you get chosen for a job. Now, the title of the story that we're going to be reading for the next several days is called Jonthan's Treasure. I need you to look in your books, your reading books, on pages 94 and 95. And I want you to look at the bottom of the page and notice that there is a timeline. The timeline shows important events that happen over a period of time. This timeline shows the year when certain people were born. The people on this timeline are Betsy Ross, Francis Scott Key, Frances Havergal, Jonthan Goforth, Billy Sunday, Wilbur Wright, and Orville Wright. And we read about all of these people except for Jonthan Goforth. And guess who your story is about this week? It's about Jonthan Goforth. Who was born, use the information on the timeline, who was born in 1752? If you said Betsy Ross, you're correct. And who was born in 1871? If you said Orville Wright, you're correct. And what year was Frances Havergal born? And if you said 1836, you are correct. And what year was Jonthan Goforth born? And the answer to that is 1859. Who was born 3 years after Jonthan Goforth? So if Jonthan Goforth was born in 1859, you add 3 years. After 59 comes 60, 61, 62. Who was born then? If you said Billy Sunday, you're correct. Okay. Look on page 95. The title of the story is Jonthan's Treasure. Today's story is a historical fiction story, kind of like Billy Sunday was historical fiction. We had parts that were true, and then we had parts that were made up to go along with the story. Remember, in Billy Sunday, we learned about Billy becoming a Christian after he had his baseball playing days, and then we had the fiction part about this little girl and her dad and how she came to be saved after listening to one of Billy's sermons. This story is a historical fiction story about the boyhood of Jonthan Goforth, who later became a missionary in China. In Jonthan's Treasure, there are facts that really happened in the past, such as the information about Jonthan's family. And the first section today is all about Jonathan's family. These are the historical parts of the story. However, the authors have added some things that did not really happen. These are the fiction parts of the story. And remember, fiction means fake. You're going to read this first section to find out what is Jonathan's treasure. And even though you and I probably don't think what he has is a treasure, for a little boy who came from his background, who lived back in the 1800s, what he got was huge. And it reminds me of the story I told you guys a long time ago about my great aunt sharing how one of her siblings bought some candy from the store and put it on the rafters to keep it safe, and the little rat ran by and stole his candy. So his treasure got stolen. That was huge. Jonathan also has what seems like a huge treasure, and that's what you're going to read about today. When you finish, you have two workbook pages, 297 and 298. 297 is main idea and inferring. On the top of 297, you've got facts about 3 stories that you've read, and you have to match the title to the box that tells about that story title. And then at the bottom, you have to read a story and answer the question about the main idea. On the back, you're going to work with your phonics skill, closed vowels that are long, and also you're going to answer the questions. I had them on your mom's lesson plan about this part of the story that you read today. And then I will review that with you tomorrow, and we'll talk about what you're going to read in the second part. Take your time, do your best.